Most of the time when I'm fishing in the cold months of the year and I'm cranking, you know, I like baits that have that subtler action. My favorite cold water crankbait is a KVD 1.5 flat. It's got a flat side to it, and I don't know if Bill talked about it or not. I mean, there's a lot of wood baits out there. I've used them for years, different ones like that that they make. Flat-sided baits, whether it's a lipless crankbait like a red-eye shad, a flat-sided crankbait in cold water, bass use their lateral line almost exclusively for them to hunt and find food. And so baits that react with that flatter side compared to a rounder bodied bait, say like a standard Series 5, send off a whole different sonic image in the water when you're cranking it in, okay? Well, I can tell you the exact contradiction to this rule is your wiggle wart or your Series 4. Those baits are round body baits, but because they have such a wide swing and wobble to them, even in clear water, they send off an incredible sonic image, okay? So it's something that I think most anglers really don't understand, and I learned really the hard way from experience is that, you know, faced with super dirty water conditions, I had a Japanese guy with me one time, and I was fishing at Cross Lake in Louisiana, and it was flooded, and you literally could not see a quarter inch into the water. And this guy was drop shotting a 3-inch straight-tailed worm in a natural color on 5-pound line, okay? This thing, we were there for an FLW championship, and it was small lake, too many boats, so much pressure, it was ridiculous, and I was flipping, okay? And I was flipping, finesse baits, small little beaver baits and things like that, little craws and stuff, and getting a few bites. But in that dirty water where you know those fish can't see, he's using translucent colored little straight little baits on 5-pound line with a little drop shot deal like that, and catching 5 fish to my 1. Now, granted, a lot of them were small ones, but I said, there's no way that fish could find your bait in that water, in my mind. Well, I saw it firsthand that they absolutely know everything that's around them, and we're really susceptible to that. So that was a really good lesson for me to learn. So I do know in cold water that they really don't like things in proximity to them, and it's their lateral line. So that's why so many times with a red-eye shad, when I'm ripping and letting that bait flutter, I catch them in the back, in the butt, in the top of the head, in the sides. They're feeling it with their body and reacting to it as that bait comes and moves close to them, and just swatting at it, and I catch a lot of them like that. So the lateral line is a lot more important this time of year for them than it is in other times of the year. So flat side baits like that are really good. Baits again that have that subtler, tighter action are kind of my go-to first. I love that style, but there's no question you go to a place like Table Rock or Dale Hollow or whatever early in the spring, and there is a cult following for the wiggle wart style baits, and there's lots of different ones on the market now. Our Strike King Series 4 is one of my favorites. It's a bigger profile bait, and I love to throw it when the water's got a stain to it, and I'll throw the reds and the crawfish. Crayfish are the primary forage. If I'm fishing a bait down near the bottom, it's going to be crawfish pattern this time of year on my crankbaits. If the water's dirty, a lot of times I may use a chartreuse perch or a chartreuse blackback just because of the visibility. But I believe the bass are really focused when they're down near the bottom, especially if you have stained water, on foraging for crayfish. It's the easiest meal that they can find through most of the winter. Now, the opposite of that is when we have some of these reservoirs that have a lot of shad in them and the water gets cold and you start to get a shad kill, you see a ton of fish roaming around, suspended. They're just swimming around looking for those dying shad. One of the first telltale clues that you're going to have that is you're going to see seagulls just all over the lake, just coming around and occasionally going down and getting shad. If I ever see that, I know absolutely 100% that I'm going to catch them jerking. If that water's clear enough for them to see my jerkbait, I absolutely know a jerkbait is going to be a primetime player.
Welcome to Bass University TV, an online video training course where you'll learn champion bass fishing techniques from pro anglers Pete Glusek, Mike Iaconelli, and their talented special guests. From on the water to in the classroom, you'll learn sound techniques and strong fundamental bass fishing skills. Watch hours of video content on multiple topics at your own pace for a low monthly fee. Cancel at any time. Information is power in the sport of fishing, so learn from the very best. Subscribe to Bass University TV today.